we start in the bayou, the shores of the mighty Mississippi in Louisiana, and that is where LeBron James had 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, and a partridge in a pear tree. The Lakers, who blew an 18-point lead, actually trailed in the final few minutes of the game, but they end up beating the Pelicans, and so they are in the playoffs to L.A., advancing. They're the number 7 seed, and that means a date with the Rocky Mountain Oysters in Colorado as they are headed to Denver, a playoff matchup against the reigning champions of the NBA, much to the chagrin of a number of pundits, including Reggie Miller, who during the broadcast questioned whether or not there should have been some intentionally missed foul shots to give the game, or at least give the Pelicans a chance to win the game in the final seconds. And Reggie Miller, not alone, a number of hoopheads who get paid plausibly to talk about basketball, wanted the Lakers to throw this game. And we're upset. You could tell some of the commentary, they're upset that the Lakers won this game and annoyed by it. Because now that means if the Lakers had lost, they would have played Oklahoma City. Instead, as we mentioned, they're heading to the Rocky Mountains. So let us discuss the question. Did LeBron's Lakers screw up? Did they screw up by beating the Pelicans to match up with the Nuggets? Did they F this up? So my answer, this is going to shock you. I do not believe they screwed up. I don't believe they screwed up at all. I'm shaking my head. No, they did not screw up. I've got Ric Flair, Royal Caribbean, and Cockpit. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a smell that is in the air that is making my nose run when I came into the building here. And it's not the skunk that usually is in here. Something else. All right, now, I'll explain more later. So let me expand on my position here. It's an unorthodox position, if you've heard my work over the years here. But I do not believe that the Lakers have a prayer of beating the Nuggets. Like, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray would have to collide into each other and go kaboom for the Nuggets to lose to the Lakers. So that is true, all right? And yet, I believe they did the right thing by winning the game and trying to win the game against New Orleans. Now, there's a bit of a asterisk that we'll get to in a second, but both of those things are simultaneously true, that you try to win the game, you play to win the game, and at the same time, you attempt to not avoid playing a team because, you can't beat the Nuggets. That's a loser's attitude, right? So I will give the rare and somewhat appropriate credit to the Lakers for winning this game. However, the credit is subdued because I truly believe watching this game that the switch had been flipped in the fourth quarter and the Lakers were trying to lose the game. I believe they were trying to lose the game with about three and a half minutes to go. New Orleans had the lead, and then it was snap, crackle, pop, little Rice Krispies for Zion Williamson. But in the immortal words of Ric Flair, I learned as a little boy from Ric Flair, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And right now the man is the Denver Nuggets, so you can't go into there scared and all that stuff. So manipulating the schedule is saucy. It's weak sauce is what it is. So I like the fact, even though they did try to do it a little bit at the end, it didn't work. And Zion said, hold my beer. And speaking of that, that's page 2 here as we take a look back at this first night of the western side of the bracket on the play-in, which is not a playoff and not the regular season. It's somewhere else out in the wild blue yonder. So Zion Williamson, that's a very large basketball player. He likes to eat. Zion was having an extraordinary, a masterpiece performance in this Fugazi play-in game before he had to exit. He headed to the locker room, exiting stage left. Oh, my aching leg. He had leg soreness. Now, Shams, or better known as Shams by Charles Barkley there on TNT, says that the hammy went whammy for Zion. So how do you classify Zion Williamson having an amazing statistical performance and yet leaving the play-in game early? So this was for Zion, I call it the Royal Caribbean. Now, why do I call it the Royal Caribbean? The reason I call it the Royal Caribbean, all inclusive. It was on brand. Zion had 40 points. He had like 10 points every quarter, something like that. It was the first three, I know he had at least 10 in every quarter. Ended up with 11 rebounds. And then abracadabra, hocus pocus, presto! He vanished at the end. Now, the report is a hammy. They said leg soreness. There'll be more tests. They might have to amputate the leg. I don't know. But Zion Williamson is another example. Here's a guy that's a fraud. He looks like a Mack truck, but he plays like a Mr. Softy truck, meaning he vanishes. Maybe there's something in New Orleans. They had Anthony Davis in New Orleans for a long time. And I don't know what that was. But Anthony Davis, listen, he is the same act. All right, last word here. So we now pivot to the home of the cowbells. We go to the cowbells, Sacktown, the capital of California. And boy, those politicians in California are doing a great job. State's never been better. If you're homeless, come on in. Get a bunch of stuff. Anyway, so that aside, not much drama here. I was going to lead with this game, and I thought, well, not anything to talk about. The game was over. Sacramento kept Golden State at arm's length. Keegan Murray, an old Iowa Hawkeye, 32 points. De'Aaron Fox had 24. There were guys I've never heard of that were knocking down money balls. Sacramento was one of the worst teams in the NBA to close the regular season, and it didn't matter. The Kings ran the Warriors out of the building. They mopped the floor with the once proud Warriors, a beat-down situation. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Sacramento now will play Nolans in a matchup that television executives are ready to jump out of buildings over because no one's going to be watching that game. But New Orleans and Sacramento in the Friday game, the winner will play OKC. Whew, can you imagine? Sacramento and Oklahoma City, or either combination is a terrible television combination. They're going to get one of those, but I don't work in television. Well, I kind of do, but not on that. I don't care about that. I don't work for the NBA. So anyway, the better story, though, is you know where? It's in the losing locker room. And that is where we will begin, because that is where Golden State was excommunicated from the postseason. And the story here, don't bury the lead, my man. I probably already did. But Klay Thompson, you know what kind of house Klay Thompson is? He's a brick house. That's what we're going to have. My God. This is his showcase performance entering the free agent marketplace. His contract is up with Golden State. Klay Thompson, he went out. If he was a pitcher for the Giants, he would have pitched a shutout. Klay Thompson went out. He had a torch special. He sucked at a time you cannot suck. Klay Thompson scored as many points as Blind Emmett, the Seahawk fan, and Inca Terror, he's also blind, combined. 0 points. Took 10 shots. Obviously, he missed every one of them. 0 for 10. So let's get to the Gila monster in the room. The Warriors. They are at the proverbial fork in the road. What do they do with Klay Thompson, and what do they do with Klay Thompson's friends? We assume Steph Curry will stay, but what do they do with these other guys? So we have activated, as a public service to our friends all over Northern California, we've activated now the Maller think tank. So we've turned on the Maller think tank. So the advice here is rather obvious. It is time to hit the road, Jack, right? And for Klay Thompson, you say, Klay, listen, it's been great. We'll kiss your ass, right, when we're back sucking, a couple years from now. We'll give you a statue. We'll retire your number. We'll give out bobbleheads. We'll kiss your ass when we want to sell tickets, and we'll bring you back, right? And we'll give out any kind of Klay Thompson promotion. But we got to get rid of you. So don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you, will be the advice there. Enter the cockpit. Klay's got to go right in that cockpit and enter the transfer portal. He's known as the sea captain. He likes to take the boat across the bay there to the Warriors games with the slow boat. He's on a slow boat out of the bay. And I got to tell you, the Warriors, it is time to say hasta la vista to Draymond Green. Is it not? And I got the vibe. I was watching in the back here. I was trying to hide from everyone. I was watching on my phone because I couldn't get it on the TVs here. I don't know how to turn the TVs because I don't know where the right remote control, so I had to watch it on my phone. But I was watching the Steph Curry news conference. I got the vibe that Curry is ready to just cut the cord, and that's the right move. Draymond Green at this point is an all-star podcaster. Okay, he's not an all-star player. The reason that Golden State was in this fugazi play-in thing was because Draymond Green could not keep his hands to himself and got suspended, and they lost a bunch of games, and so that's why. And Klay Thompson's old, but just get rid of both of them. Just get rid of all of them. I don't think you can get rid of Klay. You can't get rid of Steph Curry because you got to sell some tickets, and those tickets are expensive, and those tech executives in the Bay Area aren't going to buy the tickets just to watch the other teams. So you got to keep Steph Curry, but you can trade Draymond Green. Trade him to a team, I don't know, the Knickerbockers. Somebody like that would take Draymond Green. You'd probably get some decent return on investment, but it's just time. I was reading stories before the game that were pumping the tires up on Klay Thompson, how great he was playing to end the regular season. He had an epiphany and all that. And I was like, oh, my God. He looked he had like one leg, couldn't move, couldn't make any. It was just terrible. Just dreadful. Do not let a falling star fall on you. And the Warriors have let multiple falling stars fall right on top of them. I don't even know if Steve Kerr comes back. He's going to coach the Olympics. There is a dimension here where Steve Kerr ends up leaving the Warriors also. Just says, I don't want to be here. We're going to have Steph Curry and the 7 dwarfs out there. We're going to go Snow White. I don't want that.